Uh, Lately, whenever we record for the podcast, just because I don't like sitting here with like no noise at all, talking, um, I like to have some sort of background thing going on. I've been pulling up. I just type into YouTube. I type in Skyrim music and ambience, and then I pull up like a 10-hour video of like just like random Skyrim scenes with like the ambient music with like the game sounds,
So
and I
you
just
are
play it. So I'm it the last like five podcasts we've recorded. I've been in Skyrim.
you're recording the podcast the same way that people watch the podcast, which is watching like the ambient videos that I make.
Yeah, but I even got the music and like the sound and stuff. Like
Yeah,
the visuals there too. It's on my television. It's like I'm looking at like a statue of one of the good Daedra. Forget her name. She is the moon and star. She's prevalent in Morrowind, but she's also in there's a mission you can do where you talk to her in Skyrim as well.
Daedra, I hardly know Dra.
Daedra. Wait, do you actually have an LLC on August Meyer Games?
No, not yet, but my I have a lawyer that is helping me make a cheeky little LLC.
Oh. Should name it something besides August Meyer Games though.
Why?
Because it's a lame name. I don't know. Like if I were to make a game company, then the most exciting part would be choosing the name.
Okay, help me make a name for my game company.
Mud Crab Games, and that's not because I see a mud crab right now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. It is because I see a mud crab.
Okay. 1 second. I'm on the phone with my lawyer. All right. All right. Well, I'm now the proud owner of Mud Crab Games.
Sweet. I can't believe that isn't copywritten.
No, well, it is now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. Like, imagine that this game takes off and you start like hiring employees and stuff, and then eventually you're the CEO for a while, but then like you step down and become just like an advisor. It's kind of strange that it's a company called August Meyer Games, and people are like, "Who the fuck is August Meyer?" That's like a fucking full guy's full name. Since when have you played a game where the game company was just a dude's name?
For most solo games, like Binding of Isaac is just like Edmund McMillan presents.
Yeah, well, those games,
Hideo Kojima's games or Hideo Kojima game.
Well, those guys are all full of themselves.
Yeah,
they think that they're awesome.
Yeah,
are you gonna just throw yourself in with that group of people?
Yeah, well, I think they're throwing themselves in with me.
Man, I guess I'm too much of a Virgo to ever consider the option of making a game studio that's just my name.
Well, think of like Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab is a guy, and it's also a global international financial firm.
Sure, yeah, and like Tommy Hilfiger and stuff. But I don't know. I think I've always kind of thought that those are lame. Those are lame names for companies because it's just a guy. That's not a company. That's a guy. That's not a production company.
Yeah, but
that's a guy.
Yeah, but like in my case, it literally is just a guy.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say that every single thing has started out as just a guy, right? Except for like maybe like a collaboration between two guys. You know?
I don't know, the way I'm kind of thinking about my company is that it is just me, because like my thing is that I'm a solo developer. Like that's like a point of pride I have with the video game, is that I did all the art, all the programming, all the music. I'm getting help with the animation, so I guess I'm not a total solo developer, but
you want to point out that you did it all. You want to point out that you did everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I would hope that if you make another game with other people, that you drop the August Meyer Games, just for my sake.
Just for your sake. Uncle Games.
See, my name's not Uncle though.
No, but what I'm saying is I'm going to steal
if I
that.
named it Dane Cuthbertson Games, then I think that would be kind of strange.
That would kind of be a good name for a studio that was like Uncle's Game, like something with Uncle is kind of a funny like.
Yeah, I like the word Uncle. I think it's very funny, and I like using it as my brand. That's kind of why I chose it. But
yeah, I'm like, I was thinking of something like I thought Ghost Games would be cool.
Yeah, see, that's good.
I also saw that was not taken. Like Ghost Games is available as far as I can tell for a company, and especially a games company. There's a game company called, I think, Ghostfire Games. There's a game company called Ghost Story Games. Trust me, I've definitely looked into all of this. The guy, what is this? The BioShock guy, Ken Levine. What's his studio name? His studio is Ghost Story Games. Yeah. So ghosts are definitely in the meta of studio names, and you know me, I'm just like weirdly obsessed with ghosts. I believe in them. I'm making a game about them. My old Twitter handles were all ghost related.
Call it Gus Ghost. That way your name is in it.
Or Gust. Like Gus Ghost is kind of cool.
Or just call it, or name it Ghost, but spell it like Coast.
What about
G-O
Ghost?
Huh?
Ghost. Like August, but August. A ghost.
All real monsters meets ghosts.
All real ghosts.
Ghosts. Hey, that's pretty funny. With an exclamation point, ghost.
Dude, I was literally just having this conversation. My first of all, theme song.
Shouts out to the Motion Pixel Podcast. Yeah, I do know Lil B. I think I know the bass guy as well. Shout out Matthew Meyer and Andrew Rawlings.
Shout out to Uncle Danny. He's also a member of this podcast.
Let's get it. Shout out everybody playing baseball.
That was the fucking sloppiest fucking intro ever. Whatever.
I really liked last week's. Oh, first of all, well, I guess everyone's going to hear this later, but I will be posting last week's episode tomorrow, which is a Monday. Last week, the first episode was on a Sunday. Last episode was on a. Wait, it was Monday, then it was Sunday. Then it's going to be Monday again.
The people listening to this have they have no frame of reference. Either they're listening to it and it's already happened because this is recorded before this all happens, or they're listening to this like 10 years in the future and they're like, this doesn't matter.
Yeah, true. But I just want to say it's a point of pride for me that we are having a cadence to the potty.
A cadence?
Yeah, like we're actually
use a different
recording
word
it every week.
Oh, you're saying like there's like a no, that's a Harvard word. I'm too stupid. I'm just a country boy and you're a big city boy.
Dude, that's funny you mentioned Harvard, because when I got my first job, I worked at Selland's Market Cafe in El Dorado Hills. And
oh my God.
When I was walking past that restaurant when they were building it. And they had a sign in front of the door that was like open interviews or something like that. And I was like, I'm like 15 or 16. Like I could use some money to keep doing this dumb shit.
That's what I was always, when I was 15 or 16, I always thought that to myself. Yeah. I was always thinking to myself, I'm 15 or 16. That's like so. That's like a 15 and or 16-year-old says out loud, "Yeah, I'm 15 or 16."
I said.
I don't know why that's so funny.
I said I'm just 15-year-old August or 16-year-old August because I don't remember. And I was, heavily under the influence of psychedelic drugs. No,
I'm just around that age. That's the age I am. I'm around that age.
Yeah, I was a teen of a certain age, and
Sure.
I was walking.
And you
I was
said,
walking down the street.
you know what, I could use money.
I said, "Oh, credits, money, gimme, gimme,
Ah.
gimme, gimme." So
Green.
I,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Continue.
I let's just say I had just watched Wall Street, and I thought to myself, greed is good. So I walked my 15-year-old or 16-year-old feet into the Salons Market Cafe open interview, and I sat down for an interview with my soon-to-be manager, and he was like, "So, tell me about your experience." And I am 15 or 16 and had zero experience doing literally any job. So I was like, I panicked, and I had just sent out college applications, and I had sent out a college application to Harvard, and I got a I don't know what they called it, but I got like a callback to like go to the second step of the Harvard university interview or whatever to go to the college there. And on the spot, when he asked me, "Tell me about your work experience," I was like, "Well, I don't have work experience, but I did just get a call back from Harvard University." And the manager and the manager just kind of like laughed and like, wrote something down, and then I ended up getting the job. But that manager he only just called me Harvard because he thought it was so funny.
That's awesome. I like that guy.
Yeah.
He saw the desperation, I think.
Yeah, I think he saw a little bit of gumption and a little bit of funniness, dude. I have this like traumatic memory of that guy where there was one time where on one day I came into work, and my shirt for work, like the Sellens Market Cafe in El Dorado Hills shirt, was a little wet, and he noticed that it was wet, and he was like, "Hey man, don't come to work with like a wet shirt again." And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. And then the next day I came into work wearing a dry shirt, and he like very obviously like came up to me and like put his arm around me and like patted me on the shoulder, but he'd like never done that before, and I could tell that he was only doing that to see if my shirt was wet.
Yeah, he was checking the wetness, the dampness of your shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, and that really freaked me out because I don't really like to be touched, especially in a way where someone's like checking my integrity. So
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's like one of the autism symptoms, right? And you said that you have like multiple, like you're like definitely autistic, right?
yeah, well,
You
just
said-
self-diagnosed.
Yeah, like most things are.
Yeah, I mean,
have you ever
I
had
am-
like what were you saying? Sorry, I interrupted you.
what? No, you. What?
No, I was about to start a new conversation, but if you had more to say on the autistic tangent that
On
I
the me-
decided to
on
go
the-
on as a joke.
On the me being autistic tangent, I might be autistic. I am pretty strange.
You can take tests online that are pretty accurate, I hear. Because all
Really?
it really is down to is just because like the cool thing about autistic people is they're also kind of like aware of what they're doing, and it's not kind of like you can't really test like people who have like BPD or something along those lines because those people are like deranged and they don't actually have any self-awareness. But
Yeah, true.
like but the cool thing about autism is that autistic people know that they're autistic, so and they can very easily like they're good at taking those tests. So
Well, I will say that I've always got along really well with autistic people, so it is definitely
autistic
possible.
people are very fun to talk to because they have interesting things to say. And I'm honestly very bad at small talk, but small talk with autistic people is always interesting because they make small talk fun. They always bring up very specific things that are very funny.
Yeah, like you'll talk to an autistic guy and like, "Oh, so what are you doing? What are you up to today?" Like, "Oh, not much, but I'm going fishing with my dad." "Oh, when are you going fishing with your dad?" "Oh, in a couple months." "Oh."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, little surprises like that are always really fun. But yeah, Yeah, I wish I had more autistic friends. I definitely have way too many friends with ADHD, you being one of them. And
Hey.
I think that it's honestly like me not being ADHD. I think that it's given me some ADHD symptoms. Most of them being just conversational. Like it's hard for me to not interrupt people now because I always think that I'm going to be interrupted by people with ADHD.
Dude, I'm so bad at both. I have this horrible mixture of both interrupting people and hating to be interrupted.
Mm. Well, that is a bad combo,
Yeah.
especially since it's kind of a hypocritical. I don't really mind being interrupted. It's just I feel like it. I don't know. It's very easy for me to lose my train of thought, so it's probably another reason. But yeah, I mean, I'm friends with a lot of people who talk a lot and very fast. So if I want to say something or get my thought into the conversation, I usually have to pounce. And when I'm talking with people normally, like face to face, it's a little jarring, I think, for people. I have to tone it back. I have to be like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. You know,
what you should do is you should enter into all of your conversations IRL and like put your finger in people's chest and say, "You aren't ADHD, are you?"
No, both of the people. Well, no, Ian is self-diagnosed ADHD, so he's just one person that I know IRL.
I-dupes.
Yeah, and his wife Anissa always says she's autistic, but I don't know. I don't know if that's actually.
Oh, they got married?
Yeah, they got married like 2 years ago, I think.
Dude,
probably like more like 1 year ago. Actually, I don't know. I don't remember.
That rocks. I'm married.
I mean, they've basically been married for like 4 years, 5 years, ever since they met. They've been very close.
That is very cute.
Yeah, they're a great couple, honestly. Yeah, it's unfortunate because their relationship's often like harshly judged by people on the internet.
That's
because Ian kind of got his he got a lot of his like fame and notoriety from kind of being an edgy kid, and edgy kids are usually like kind of they grow up to be like either alt-right or incels most of the time. So when he revealed that he doesn't hate women, all of a sudden they're just like, you've betrayed us, you know. It's funny. It's a funny little thing. Probably not as funny to them. It's easier to be an observer of it, but it is unfortunate.
He revealed that he was actually like kind of a well-adjusted adult.
I mean, he became. I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, everybody. I think about it this way: like he got all of that fame and notoriety and popularity like when he was like 22, 23. I mean, think about how you were when you were 22, 23. You know,
I was a huge dumbass.
Yeah. And so, what? He's like 32 now. It's kind of understandable that he's like a different person, I think, personally, but you know, the internet is forever, and so it's very easy for people to just go and look at the video of him doing that stuff and be like, wait a minute, you were literally just 5 minutes ago doing this, and now I'm seeing a video of you today doing this. What gives? You know, this is freaking me out, and I don't like it, and it's different. I'm gonna lash out. Yeah,
well, people online tend to treat like creators and like influencers and like YouTubers or whatever, they tend to treat them like I don't know, like TV characters, you know, or just like you just have like a certain stat sheet, and if you deviate from that stat sheet, you're a phony.
Yeah, the writers really fell off or something on your life story.
Yeah, exactly.
Or yeah, just people clutching onto what they perceive as like the good old days of something. I don't know. There's a lot of different factors. Obviously, people are different and complex in a lot of different ways, and obviously, he's got a lot of fans. So I shouldn't say that all of them are like that, but there's still a very vocal group of people like that who are annoying. Time on stuff.
I fall into both camps because I'm still a fan of his videos, but also he's a bitch.
No, that's true. Actually, he is a little bitch. Yeah. Got beat up by a fucking YouTube doctor. I mean, how sad.
You got beat up by a doctor? Yeah, my doctor helps me. Yours beats the shit out of you. That sucks, dude.
Yeah, you should really get a new doctor, man.
Yeah, literally just get a new doctor. If your
Yeah.
doctor beats the shit out of you, that's a
If
you
your
problem,
doctor's
buddy. I
throwing
cannot
right
help you with
hooks at
that.
you immediately when you see him, that is not a good doctor, man.
Yeah, my doctor uses a stethoscope. Yours is punching you in the fucking nose. You've got a problem.
Yeah. 100%.
And also, his doctor just goes by Mike, like first name. That doesn't sound like a real doctor to me. My doctor goes by Doctor.
His last name's Mike.
His last name is Mike. Oh, okay. Well, edit that out. Edit that out. I want to make a public apology. On the last podcast, I said I would put something on the screen when I mentioned something, and I didn't do that because I didn't really edit the podcast last week. I just kind of edited it.
You didn't. Yeah. You were lazy.
Yeah, I just kind of like lined up the audio with the video and then put our cool little intro and outro in. And I said, you know what? That's nice. And I uploaded it. So this week, if I say, hey, Jamie, throw that shit up there, Jamie's going to throw that shit up there.
You need to get a better work ethic. I mean, back in my day, people used to work for their money, you know? And these millennials these days, they don't work for their money. They're just lazy. You know, they get burned out too easily. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to do any work. So.
Oh, you're right.
Yep.
You're right. Dude, I'm not sure what generation I am. I'm a cusper of some sort.
You're on the
spectrum, I know.
You're on the I think you're on the edge, but I think you're still a millennial though. I'm pretty sure that people who are born I'm pretty sure it's like pretty solidly like 1997 or something and onward is like Gen Z.
It's weird though because like I was just reading an article about how millennials are reaching middle age, and I'm like very still in my 20s. So like,
well, we're late millennials. Like millennial goes all the way back to like 1983 or 82 or something.
Yeah,
so like it's pretty.
I've never felt like a kinship like my whole life. I never felt a kinship with like people born in the 80s. Like I've never really been friends with them. They've been like my older cousins or like
really
my older friends. Yeah, I've never had friends.
I have a few friends who are like 30 in their like late 30s.
Oh, really?
And I feel a kinship with them. I get along with a lot of different types of people though, so I don't know. I don't really think about like that too often.
Yeah, you're always you are always telling me that age is just a number, and like it doesn't matter who you're dating, and like I should stop asking how old the people you're dating are.
I mean, that was a PPC, but I guess we can talk about it here. Yes, but I did not know that they were a dog. Nope. Nope. I think honestly, it's hard for me to be friends with anybody that's like in their teens, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
I have talked to a few teenagers from time to time, just because I am in Discords and sometimes they sneak in, but it's hard for me to talk to them. I think I'm just too old at this point.
Yeah, I have no interest.
So what are you up to? Oh, just playing Fortnite, on TikTok. Great. Although I've been on TikTok a lot lately, so maybe I'll be able to have that in common. Hey, I saw that thing where that meme happened. See that?
Dude, friend of the podcast, Nonita, is on TikTok.
Who?
Nonita, my 84-year-old grandmother-in-law.
Oh yeah, what's she doing there?
I don't know. She's watching like funny Spanish videos. Like the other day.
A few of those do come across my my little timeline. I don't know if you call it a timeline on there, but yeah, I occasionally get videos that are clearly intended for like a Hispanic audience.
Really?
Yeah, like like stuff where it's just like you had a immigrant parent if you did this, like a lot of that kind of like humor. And I'm like, I didn't have an immigrant parent. Why does this app think that I had an immigrant parent?
Maybe like maybe there's like a Latin person stealing your Wi-Fi, so you're getting targeted for whatever they're looking up.
In my mind, I'm thinking like maybe it's because I lived in California for so long. You know,
Yeah, or
that's
maybe
the only thing I can think of.
I know that sometimes that like targeting works by like people you are in close proximity with. So maybe someone in your close proximity is una immigrante.
Not that I know of. I mostly try and keep my friends white. I mean, I'm just kidding.
Edit that part out. Edit that part out.
Keep it in. I want people to know how racist I am. No, no, I have a lot of different kinds of friends, color wise, but I don't think any of them are immigrants, like first generation or second generation immigrants, even.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting like a secondhand experience, or like a later in life experience of that, because I live with.
Yeah, you live in like an
your wife's
immigrant
family.
house now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Like, you know,
like that must be
you-
exciting. I've always kind of
It
wanted
is.
to have that experience in a way.
Yeah, like it is, honestly, it is cool. Like, I'm always helping out my parents-in-law, figuring out stuff, helping them translate stuff, helping them
Mhm.
navigate the Los Estados Unidos in various ways. And it is very rewarding, and it's fun too, because they teach me Spanish. I learned about their culture, and it's kind of like refreshing too, to get like a third party perspective on shit that you just take for granted, or like take as
Sure, yeah.
gospel culturally. You're like, oh, actually, that is really fucking stupid that we do that way.
Mhm. Culture is very interesting stuff. I've always kind of had a deep appreciation for how cultures are different or the same, or how culture grows with each passing year or degrades. All that
Yeah,
stuff.
in our case,
Very cool.
in our case, degrades.
American culture, maybe, yeah.
I'm a little.
Oh yeah, before tangent, I actually had a question kind of locked and loaded for you. Have you ever had a
Okay,
boss who was like genuinely like a mean person, who was just like not a good boss at
Yes. Dude, my fucking man, dude, this is a fucking call out to my manager.
Nope.
At my last job.
all?
I thought she was just the worst manager I've ever had. And I remember my buddy was telling me that when she was given feedback for her like managerial style, like there's like like reviews or whatever. My buddy told me that she would just like read the reviews that we were giving her and just like laugh and then like disregard them.
Yeah, she just was kind of person who's like haters gonna hate, you know.
Dude, we were like, I mean, I was on this really challenging project at my last job, and there were days where I and my teammates would be working until like 8, 9, 10 at night at the office, and she would leave at like 4 p.m. and like change into her golfing outfit and then go golfing.
Sweet. I mean, that's the life of a manager, though.
Yeah, true. Fuck managers.
That's
dude.
why you're. That's why you gotta suck manager cock all the way up until you're a manager, and then you can live that life. You know.
Yeah, F that, dude. Freaking F that.
Yeah.
I never want to do that. I never want to be
Why
a
not?
manager. Which sucks, because
Why
now
not?
it's like
No, I fucking hate that. I've never liked authority of any kind. I don't know why.
I don't want to have authority, even though I'm starting this video game studio. It's like, if I work with other people, I would like to structure the company in a way that it's like a co-op, so like,
I was talking to my mom about this the other day, actually. Like I've come to realize that, like, because I was talking to her about like getting a therapist, and I was like, man, I would like to get a therapist, but my idea of a therapist is maybe a little too rudimentary or too stereotypical. I imagine a therapist is just being there and I asking me a question, I talk about it, and then they ask like, and then what happened? Or they ask like, oh, and how did that make you feel? And just encouraging me to keep talking, because I think that most therapists believe that the way that most people get better is by just talking and acknowledging things that they don't have time to acknowledge in their actual life because they're just too busy or too stressed. And a lot of people, instead of like looking inward, will just distract themselves. And then therapy is like an opportunity for them to kind of emotion dump, and so they basically just sit there and listen, and that's fine. And some people need that, but I am kind of an introspective person. I actually do like to think about what I'm thinking a lot, and so a therapist to me, if I go to a therapist, then I'm just going to feel like they are like an authority figure, and they're just kind of like not doing anything. They're not actually working with me to like solve any problems. They're just kind of like encouraging me to like voice my concerns. But if at the end of the day they don't actually say, all right, so let's sit down and figure this out together, like what we're going to do about this, then like what is even the point of getting a therapist? And I thought to myself, I was like, why is that? Like, why am I so averse to like the default? And I think I just came to the conclusion that I don't really like authority. I like collaborators, I like collaborating with people on things instead of having like somebody tell me what to do. I want to be able to have equal kind of like input on things and feel like I'm kind of at the same level, if that makes sense. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Dude, I know exactly what you mean. Because if there's like a power imbalance, then like at the end of the day, especially in like difficult situations, the person who has power over you can fuck you over in some way.
Sure, yeah. The power imbalance is one thing, but even if there is no power to be holding over me, I feel like even just a hierarchical difference where it's just like I don't have to do anything, but I'm just going to tell you what I think. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you what to do, and I'm not going to contribute anything. That kind of thing is, I don't know. It's just so. It's not even like about fairness. It's about I want you to be involved in this with me. I want to like be together. Collaborate. That's the word that I kind of came up with. I was like, I like collaborating. I don't like working for people. I like collaborating with people. That is like where I am the most happy when it comes to like creating things or working on problems,
I will say that I can only speak from my own experience, but when I've tried to find a therapist for a long time, and I probably tried maybe like 3 or 4 different ones in my life, and the first few that I tried, I never had like a connection with. I always felt like I couldn't really be like honest with them. Like I felt like I was either being judged, or for some reason I just didn't want to be open with them, because like I'm like a pretty I'm a pretty like honest and upfront person, but to really be vulnerable with someone, I have to like have a connection with them. Like family or something like that, or like a close friend.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always been really challenging.
Do you know why that is, though? Well, yeah, I think you're on the same page as me. Because when you're talking to family or friends, like you feel like a kinship. You feel like you're on the same level. You guys are both friends. There's no imbalance of like a hierarchical structure or something in place.
Yeah.
Automatically, whenever you go see a doctor of any kind, I feel like there's like a hierarchy there. It's just like, I'm a doctor and you're a patient. I'm a therapist and you're my patient.
And
I don't really. I always
have like I always have like a fear to, or maybe not a fear is the wrong word. I always have like an aversion to going to the doctor or going to the therapist, because like I know, I think I'm like similar to you, where like I'm a pretty introspective person too, and a very self-aware person of like, I know what my strengths and my flaws and my weaknesses are. So to me, it's like a little intimidating to go talk to a therapist and be like, okay, here are my problems, because I know their problems, and I know that's like a sore subject. Or like to go to the doctor, it's like, bro, I know I'm a fat piece of shit. Like I don't want to go to the doctor and just have them say, hey, have you considered dieting?
Yeah, telling you exactly what you already know is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Telling me what I already know, because I have that self-awareness. So I was super blessed when I lived in Afghanistan in Chicago to I really got to get over or just embrace.
No, I get it. It's like a Chirac joke. It's like an evolution on that.
It's an evolution.
No,
of
I caught
Chirac.
that. I caught that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was really lucky when I lived in Chiron to have a therapist that I really connected with. Shout out to Allison. I don't want to dox her, but I should probably edit out.
4928.
I should probably edit out
Start
my
listing your
manager's
address.
name because like you probably could trace who my
You
manager
can
was.
you can
somehow.
bleep it. Sure. Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah, I'll
can
bleep it. I'll bleep it. I'll bleep it. But also fuck her. She sucks. But I will bleep it. And if I don't bleep it, someone remind me in the comments, please, in the corrections. So yeah, I was really lucky to have a therapist that I really connected with because it's such a difficult thing for me, and I think one of the reasons that really helped me have that like level of vulnerability that I could have is that like my therapist had like an encyclopedic knowledge of everything I had ever told her. So like she would remember the names of my family, the names of my cousins, names of everyone I would talk to, you know, like past friends or like partners, girlfriends that I've had that I would like talk about in therapy. She would just like remember everything that I would ever tell her so that if I was talking about them in the future, like in a future session, she would be like, "Oh, like that reminds me of what you told me like a fucking year ago about this person and when they did this,
Right.
this and this and you said it made you feel like this and that." And that really helped me to both feel like validated and like, oh, this person isn't just like hearing what I'm saying, nodding their head, and then going through
Yeah.
like a mental script of like how like, you know, like a fucking like a customer service person might just go by going through like their little script to help you solve your problem. Like it
Mhm.
really felt like someone was taking the time to get to know me. And because of that, my therapist was able to help me contextualize stuff like that I was having trouble processing mentally today with the context of like how it affected me in the past. So it would
Yeah.
help me get out of like loops, which are like a recurring theme with my like mental health is I get stuck in like loops of like bad thought
Yeah.
patterns.
A negative thought loop.
Yeah, negative
TM.
thought loop. TM. And my therapist to be like, well, like it sounds like you had like a similar kind of reaction, like a similar kind of thought loop when we were talking about your relationship with this person or your relationship with that person. And having someone be able to like keep me both accountable and to like help me make those connections myself helped me to figure out a lot of shit about myself. And also she was just like cool and she was like maybe around my age too. So I didn't feel like it was just like some stone cold, like sterile professional, like just kind of like doing a biopsy of me. It felt like I had like a friend.
Oh, you were just
and,
talking to a good friend. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly the kind of thing that I would want. So yeah, I think I think I'm interested obviously in getting a therapist. I always kind of have been. It's just the process of weeding out the weaklings feels really like it would be very exhausting, and I'm not looking forward to it necessarily. So I was just kind of trying to lately unpack exactly what it is that I am looking for so that I can intentionally seek it out, maybe make that process a little bit more fine-tuned and make it go by faster. But yeah, that kind of just got me thinking about like, and I do in general just have like an aversion to I don't know, feeling like I am existing in some sort of hierarchical society where where I'm not treated equally, you know. And I think that I don't like that the most when working on things artistically. You know what I mean? Like kind of like
definitely.
Like a group project kind of feel. Except I don't like the guy who just sits back and doesn't do nothing during their school projects. You know, remember those guys? You'd get like the deadbeat.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I'll just show up on the day and I'll read the line.
Dude, I had so much anxiety with projects not being finished that I would like literally never be that person. And I would get so pissed at the guy who would do that because it just to me it was just never an option to be that guy.
Yeah. No, I feel it's fun and exciting to do those things, so I never felt demotivated personally.
Yeah, I always liked group projects. I thought that was a fun part of college, is like interacting with people I never would have spoken with before.
It's like a It's like the reason why group projects even exist, I think, isn't just for no reason. I think that they do that because it teaches you to improvise and kind of like problem solve in a way where it's not necessarily you're trying to solve the problem of how do I complete this project. It's how do I complete this project with random people. You know what I mean? And that's something
Yeah.
that is, I think, a valuable life lesson. You're going to have to do that in many different tiny ways throughout your entire life, or big ways. So I think people who are bad at group projects we're doomed to be bad at life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Life is a group project. We're all
And
working
it's a
together on
highway.
this. Life
Yeah,
is a
we're all
highway. Yeah, I'm going to ride it all night long personally.
But no, you won't be riding. You'll be riding it in a group setting.
Yeah, I'm riding with my group, yellow group. I got put in yellow group.
Nice. Dude, my cousin was telling me today that his dog, he has I think it's called a Labradoodle. It's a very beautiful
Labrador
dog.
with poodle.
Yeah, Labrador with poodle. And he said that his neighbor has a Labradoodle too, and they like have like a dog club or something where they like walk their dogs together. And he was telling me that they started to talk about like where they got their dogs, and they were like, wait a second, it kind of sounds like we got our dogs from like the same place. And they like exchanged like the like doggy birth certificates, and it turns out that his random neighbor has the sister, like litter mate of his dog, like the actual biological sister.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's what are the odds? Somebody tell me.
Yeah, they're not good, but in this case it worked out.
The odds are not good. You know what's crazy?
What?
Would you consider like your wife to be kind of like your soulmate in a way? Like if that even exists?
100%.
I mean, man, you're lucky. I'm so unlucky with soulmates. All of my soulmates are like famous people. Like what?
Like
I have no chance with any of them.
Is Anya Taylor-Joy your soulmate?
All of Anya Taylor-Joy, Aubrey Plaza, Melissa Villaseñor. These all of them are famous actresses or somebody that is unattainable. I'm so unlucky with all my soulmates just being like, I get like a normal soulmate,
Dude, friend of the podcast, Peter, who I want to be on the podcast sometime. He was telling me the other day, he was like, yeah, I really like Anya Taylor-Joy. And I was like, why do you like her so much? And he was like, I always tend to like women who look like dolls.
I was about to honestly, like, she is extremely attractive, but I will admit she kind of looks a bit like an alien. She looks a little bit like Creature from Split. And you know what? That's
she was also in
like
Split.
That.
She was? Yeah, she was. That was like one of her.
She
first
was a
big
monster.
Movies.
She was the monster.
Oh wait, no, you're thinking of Splice. You're thinking of Splice.
Oh, Splice.
She was in Split with James McAvoy.
Yeah, I do know that.
Shyamalan movie.
That was the first movie I saw her in, and immediately when I saw her in that movie, I was like, "This is the next movie star." Immediately.
Really?
There are some actors and actresses. I guess I should just call them actors, huh? Who honestly, like, the moment you see them, I feel like you can tell that they're fucking destined for stardom.
Yeah, there is like a thing. It's like that girl. Who's that girl who was Wednesday Addams? What's that lady's name?
Oh, Jenna Ortega. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like another like.
Although the first thing I saw her in was X, and honestly, she wasn't really anything special in that. But when I did see that she was going to play that character in the Netflix show, I was like, oh, she's going to be a huge thing now.
Yeah,
I never saw. I actually never saw that show though. Did you see it?
No, I'm not a 14-year-old girl, so I've not seen it.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know why I even asked.
Yeah, that was a dumb fucking question.
No, she's big. She's going places. She's already places. She already hosted SNL. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, I saw the Scream 6 movie that she was in. And I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
I watched that movie in Spanish, so I had almost no idea what was
Right.
happening because my Spanish is pretty good, but like
Not when
to have
it's
not when it's
yeah.
like everyone's speaking really fast in a movie. But you know, I like vaguely knew what was going on, and Nonita said it was the most horrible movie she's ever seen.
I mean, it's a slasher movie, so I'm assuming you can kind of gather that without having to know what the dialogue is, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty dumb mistake on my part to take Nonita to see Scream 6, but it was the only Spanish dubbed movie at the theater. There's like one movie theater in Austin that has Spanish language movies of like new releases. And also we had recently watched The Witch with Nonita and she loved it. So I was like, "Oh, no, my Nonita's cool.
Yeah, it
She's watching
sounds like
horror
she's
movies."
got good taste. So you took her to
Yeah,
see
but
Scream 6 and she had the appropriate reaction, I'm
oh,
assuming.
true. Yeah. Yeah. You know, check out Nonita on Letterboxd. That's letterboxd.com/Nonita 84.
Nonita 84. That's her age,
Yeah.
right? She updates it
Yeah.
every birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. She
Um
updates it every birthday.
I also had that kind of realization with Haley Steinfeld, but I saw her in True Grit back in like 2009 or something when she was like 7 or 8. She was like really young in that movie. And in that movie she's a really good job and I'm like this is the next big actress. And then she like literally didn't do I feel like I never saw her in any movies until all of a sudden she shows up in fucking Bumblebee. And I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
there she is." And then now she's like a huge star. After Bumblebee, I was like, "Oh, it wasn't True Grit, the actual good movie that shot her to stardom." Oh man, I mean, I called it, but for the wrong movie, I think. But it's also
I
possible
think
that her parents were like responsible and were like, "Yeah, you can do that movie, but you actually have to like go to school and stuff."
that might have been literally what happened.
Yeah, because I mean, in
I
Bumblebee,
think
I think she was like 18 or 19. So
I believe she was also like a pop star. Like I think she had some like pretty popular music.
Yeah, I think I did see something about that she did music. I haven't heard any of it though.
Yeah, who knows? And honestly, who cares?
Well, I like pop music. I'll take a listen.
I only like art pop music. Like the really heady stuff, you know? The kind of
Are you
like pop
talking
music for
literally about
intellectuals.
Art Pop, the album by Lady Gaga, aka the Goat?
No, it was just kind of a joke. Um, dude, I heard a crazy thing
Well,
about
it wasn't
ghosts
funny.
today. Do you want to
What
hear a
well,
crazy thing about
you
ghosts?
saw a ghost because you're schizophrenic today? Is that what you said?
No, no, I saw ghosts. Dude, I've been having ghost experiences in my house. But I was talking to my
that's that's the full name of a new show on History Channel. I've been having
History
ghost
Channel presents.
experiences in my house. Yeah, History Channel presents. I've been having ghost experiences in my house.
Yeah, I've been like, there's just been like noises and like I'll hear like furniture being moved around, but there's no one upstairs.
That's your
Like
no need to
I've
playing
like,
a fucking cruel prank on you.
yeah, true. But I heard a crazy thing about ghosts today that made me freaked out because I've physically seen a ghost one time in my life when I was like 14 years old, living in Placerville, California. I was maxing and relaxing
That's
on the
the
couch.
hang town.
Yeah,
The
literally, it's the
haunted
Hangtown.
town of ghosts who were hunged.
Yeah, and if you go to Placerville, they have all these different like you can do like ghost tours and shit. They have like a haunted hotel.
Yeah. Oh, I've
But
been on
I was
them.
just
I've been on
living.
the ghost tours there. I've been
Oh
on
really?
the tour in that haunted hotel that you're talking about.
Oh really? I've been inside that
Mhm.
haunted hotel, but I did not go on the actual ghost tour. But I love
Yeah,
that
my
kind of
ex
stuff.
girlfriend was super into ghost, like haunted shit, like haunted houses and all that stuff. She'd drag me along on that stuff all the time.
Wow, she sounds great. You should get back with her.
Pretty sure you know who I'm talking is.
Nope.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
fuck her,
yeah.
dude. But uh, I was talking to my cousin's boyfriend today, and I was telling him the story about when I saw a ghost. And when I was like 13 or 14, I was maxing relaxing in Placerville on the couch, and I saw just this like orb float across the room. It was like
I
it
love
was
the
like
word
a
orb.
Yeah, it was a spherical, like opaque brown orb, and like it
Mm.
kind of had it's like one of the most clear memories I have in my life. I can like see it in my mind's eye right now. And the orb kind of had like what looked like the outline of a nose. It was like as if a person. It was kind of at like head level, and like it was as if like a person was walking across the room, but it was just like the head, and it didn't really look like a head. It was really just like a brown orb that kind of had like a nose.
It wasn't head-shaped orb. It was just a regular orb shape.
No, I would say. I mean, yeah, I would say it was like roughly head shaped. It was kind of like if you just like. If
Oh
you
well,
really,
that's
like,
not an orb. An orb is spherical.
Yeah, so I guess it
But
wasn't.
the
Like,
head isn't spherical. You just saw the disembodied brown head of someone.
yeah, but
But
it was as if like
it was
all of
translucent.
the. Yeah, it was like translucent, opaque, all like partly.
Well,
and had no
opaque
like
is
feet.
different from from translucent, though, isn't it?
Well, it wasn't entirely. Oh yeah, you're right. Because transparent is different than translucent. Yeah, so it was a brown, translucent, spherical. It was as if like it was
What's
like
the
a
opacity?
human head.
Is it like 50%?
Maybe a little more than 50%. Maybe like 65%.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was as if like a human head kind of like had all of the features blurred out, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just brown, and it floated across the room.
And where
And
was
I
this
was, like,
again?
in Placerville when my family moved.
Yeah, but like where
It-
specifically in your house?
It was in the living room, and we lived in this little apartment in Placerville that was like. Do you remember where Marshall Medical Center is? That like Marshall Hospital in Placerville?
Yeah,
Like it's kind of in the. Yeah. It's like kind of close on like the Pollock Pinesy side of Placerville, like kind of up in like the mountainy part. And
Yeah, but I've been there to do some work for the DA's office back when I used to work for them.
oh, dude, you're a narc. But yeah, it was like
Just
up there.
freelance, don't worry.
It was like in an apartment right above the hospital.
Yeah. There's like a little there. Yeah, I remember there being like houses over there.
Yeah, so you probably
So
know
you lived over
exactly
there?
where I'm talking about. Yeah, I lived over there for like 6 months because my dad was a lawyer for the hospital, and they like let us live.
Dude, I
in the-
bet
in-
because you were
this
so
apartment.
close to the hospital, that's why it was haunted.
Yeah, exactly. And Placerville also has a history of like
A history of hanging
down.
black people, and that's why
Yeah,
the
literally
orb
hanging
was
black
brown.
people. Oh my god. Okay, this ties into the story. So I was telling my cousin's boyfriend about this today, and he was saying that he also believes in ghosts, and that he's heard that the color of like the like apparition that you see ties to like the like animosity of the spirit, or like the like evilness, like if it's like a malevolent spirit, or
It's
if
like a
it's
spiritual
benevolent
mood
spirit.
ring.
Yeah, kind of. And he was saying that like if you see like a white apparition, that's generally like more benevolent, and like someone just like
Of
wanting
course.
to make a connection or something. But if you see a darker apparition, that means it's malevolent and like will do you harm. And like the darker it is, he was saying like from brown to red, that's like a spirit that wants to do people harm.
The more red shifted it gets, the more pissed off it is. Kind of like real
Yeah,
life.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly like real life. So I was a little freaked out by that.
Well, did you know that at the time, or did you just
Oh.
find that out today?
I just found that out today.
Oh, well, so you're saying that the apparition that you saw was only, he was like kind of pissed off. He was like maybe like just kind of steamed, He wasn't ready to hurt you. He was just kind of like not in a good mood.
Yeah, I mean, I
Is that
don't
what
even know if the apparition.
you're discovering?
Yeah. What I'm discovering is I dodged a freaking ghost bullet. I could have
Yeah.
got
You-
scooped by a ghost.
What could a ghost do to you?
I don't know, scare me, spook me.
Well, I mean, like,
give me
say
a-
the ghost was actually like royally pissed off, like he was like, he was listening to Limp Bizkit that day, and he was like, I could motherfucker break your fucking face tonight. You know what I'm talking about? So, what if he was in that mood? What if you saw a red demon orb? What is the worst possible thing that could have happened to you?
Possess.
Possessed?
Yeah,
So
I
if
coulda
a
got
ghost is
possessed.
if a ghost is pissed off enough, they'll possess someone. That's their like the highest pissed off
Yeah, I think
like
so.
action that they can take.
Yeah, well, I think there's like there's doing scary paranormal activity shit. Like if I'm in bed and they like touch my toes when they're out of the covers, that's malevolent because no one
Really?
would ever want that. I think so. I think that's malevolent. You shouldn't touch
Or it could
someone's
be.
feet while they're sleeping.
Wait, I mean, just what about your head though? Is that less malevolent? What about your
No,
shoulder?
that's no. I don't like to be. I'm like potentially on the spectrum. Any like
Well, that's what
physical
I'm
touch
saying.
freaks me out.
Right. But the ghost doesn't know that. What if the ghost is just trying to be your friend, and friends like
Oh, that's true.
they say, "Hey, what's up?" They want to get your attention.
Yeah, well, if a ghost did that to me, I would have flashbacks of my manager thinking I was wearing a wet shirt to work.
The ghost says, "Ooh, your shirt is a little damp. Go home and change.
Looking damn,
it.
looking
Go home and
damn.
change, motherfucker."
Um,
I'm
yeah,
putting your
I think that
hours.
I think possession is probably the worst thing I can think of a ghost doing because when I think of malevolent
Yeah.
spirits, I don't really think of them like slashing me and like slitting my throat or something. I think of them like inhabiting me and making me feel bad.
Oh, but not controlling you like The Exorcist, like more like just
Mm,
possessing you and making you into a depressed, like angry person.
I would, yeah, maybe brown level spirits would like inhabit me and make me feel bad and give me bad energy. But then I think maybe red level spirits
Yeah. But
would
yeah,
like,
brown level spirits not so they wouldn't possess. No, red level would.
yeah, yeah, I think red
What
level would straight up possess.
what would white level? I mean, are white level just kind of they're malevolent or they're benevolent? So that means that they won't hurt you or do anything bad to you. But do they go the opposite direction? Do white orbs help you in any way? Do they show you where the treasure is hidden or something along those lines?
Dude, my dad has had a story of I don't think it was him. I forget it was one of our family members. He told me had an experience where like their mom died. I forget who this was. Someone in my family, but their mom died, and this person in my family. And I wish I remember who it was. Had like an issue with like blood. They were like it was like an older person. They had like an issue with like blood flow in their arm for some reason. And one night they fell asleep with like their arm hanging out of the bed at like a weird angle that like would make the arm like go numb, which I guess was a problem for this person. And my dad said that they woke up and it was their dead mother was like appeared to them and was like, "Hey, you need to move your arm or you're gonna lose it." And
Mm.
that made them like not have their arm hurt that way. So
Oh,
I think white level spirits are benevolent in that way, where they can provide guidance.
and she was white. Her mom.
and yeah, our family is like Hispanic, so they're quite quite blanquito.
No, I mean like not her skin color, but the apparition in which she appeared, the orb.
I would have to do some research, but I
She was.
believe so.
Yeah, you'd have to ask her again, I suppose. Was she
It's,
white
it's
or was she red? Was she royally mad?
yeah, it certainly was not a red shifted ghost.
It's honestly kind of hard for me to. I mean, like ghost stories. I mean, I don't really believe in ghosts, but I will take a ghost story a little tiny bit more seriously if it's told about a time when they weren't half asleep when it happened. Because honestly, I wake up all the time in the middle of the night and I fucking see like half of what I was dreaming in real life or something. It's the people call it like sleep paralysis demons. I don't have sleep paralysis, but I do have dream persistence for like the first 10 seconds after I wake up sometimes where I'm like mixing realities. And I could see, somebody dreaming about their mom and then they wake up, their eyes open, and then their mom is now just standing in the room with them. I could see that being a thing, not necessarily a ghost.
Yeah, I've definitely had those kind of dreams before, where like I dream about someone like fucking me over in some way, and then I wake up pissed. But then like I have to remind myself,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I just had a dream that they fucked me over. They didn't fuck me over in real life.
Dude.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But yeah, when I saw that ghost, I'm pretty sure I was watching The Two Towers on like
The Two Towers Fall?
AMC.
Oh.
No,
That's why you remember where you were on 9/11, because you had such a vivid memory of the brown orb.
no, I was watching, I believe, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Lord of the
on
Rings.
a TV showing.
Oh,
Yes,
that was fucking Gandalf
so I
the
was not
Brown.
asleep. That was Radagast the Brown.
Oh yeah, Radagast. I try and block as much of the Hobbit movies out of my brain as I can.
I think about those movies all the time. I always think about Benedict Arnold or whatever his name is, like snarling on the
Benedict
ground.
Arnold.
In his mocap suit.
Benedict Arnold, yeah, for sure. He betrayed us.
Yeah, he betrayed us big time.
Betrayed us by being Smaug. No,
Okay.
Benedict Cumberbatch behind the scenes footage is very funny. He's crawling around on the ground like Charmander, and like fucking growling and stuff. It's really funny.
Do not bring up. This is not going to be a recurring bit. We are not going to talk about
Nope.
it again.
But he was. I mean, like look at Benedict Cumberbatch. He's on the ground. He's saying, "My name's
Nope.
and I'm guarding my fucking gold."
It would be kind of a funny meme to like mash up, use the audio from the
Nope.
Twitter video on the.
Yeah, if you have time this week, well, you probably don't because you're going to be at GDC. But yeah, you should make that meme. Make that meme a thing. You know how
That would
to
be a
use
fire-
editing software.
I do. I do know how to use freaking Adobe Premiere Pro, like a pro,
Yeah.
like
An
boss.
actual pro, like a boss. Yeah, talk to corporate like a boss. Approve memos like a boss. Remember that?
Shit on. I'm not. I was
Shit
about
on
to-
someone's desk.
I was about to use.
Oh yeah,
the
you were
name of
gonna
my bad.
shit on bleep desk. As long as
No,
you're bleeping
shit on
stuff, can you bleep this one too? Can you bleep this word too?
Nope.
Yeah. Dude, you should not have said that.
Yeah, but I'd like to be a little naughty from time to time.
It's okay. I'll bleep out all of the bad words on tonight's episode. Oh, maybe
thank
I'll learn
God.
how to beep stuff because, like, I've never bleeped
Mm.
something before. I'll
It's
put
really
like a
easy.
funny sound. I'll put a really funny sound. I'll think of something. Maybe I'll put like a Homer Simpson. Dope. I've been getting
Yeah.
into doubt recently. I've been saying that a lot.
Just the you should bring that up at like a barbecue. Hey, what's going on with you, Gus? Oh, not too bad. I've been getting really into dough lately. What? Just saying dough.
You know, D
Dope.
apostrophe OH.
Yeah, annoyed grunt. Are you
Dope.
familiar? Do you know that in all Simpsons scripts, dough is not actually like written down. It's written down as annoyed grunt. It's a fun little fact.
That is a fun little fact.
So anytime that the guy who voices Homer sees that annoyed grunt, he knows what to do.
That's cool.
Yep.
Okay, Dane, talk about video games because we are one of America's premier video game podcasts.
No, yeah. Didn't Diablo 4 like launch, or there's like a beta this weekend that I didn't end up playing it, but I know that it probably happened, right? Is that correct,
there
or am
is.
I stupid? Oh, okay. Did you end up playing any of it, or see anybody who talked about it and how cool it is, or what? What's going on with
I didn't
that?
have time. My little brother came to visit me, so I didn't have time this.
Oh,
this
good.
weekend. But I was.
All right. Well,
planning
I'm all out of video games to talk about. Then I don't know.
Shit. Oh, dude, I've been playing a game that I thought you'd like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which never
I
goes.
don't really
over well.
like video games, so we'll see.
Yeah, I know. I was playing Steam World Dig on my 3DS.
Steam World: The Dig sounds like a shovelware game, but continue.
Oh.
Sell it to me.
No, it is not a shovelware game. It's pretty cool actually, and it's very simple. I think it's pretty popular because there's a sequel on the Switch that I think got really good reviews. But it is a, I think, randomly generated game. It's a side scroller where you're this like robot in a old west town, and you just like dig down into a mine and you collect different resources like metals and stuff and ores, and it's kind of like Metroidvania-y, where you progressively get different like gadgets that help you traverse more.
Sounds
and
a
more.
little bit more like Terraria.
Yeah, it's like Terraria, but there's like no building. There's no like it's really not like a creative game. Like the creativity is in like how you build your mine and how you can like make sure that you can get back up to where you need to go. But
So you can dig, but you can't place anything.
yeah, you can't play, at least not where I'm at. You can't place anything, but you can like, you collect ores so that you can get like better and better like pickaxes and more space
Yeah.
to hold stuff. and it's got like a very simple, nice little gameplay loop, and the
It
character
does sound like
control-
my kind of game. I like those kinds of games. You said that you've been playing on your Switch, but is it available for other systems?
No, I've been playing it on 3DS, but I think it's on like everything.
Oh, wait, it's that old?
Yeah, it's an older game.
Oh.
Steam World Dig. It's pretty cool. The controls are very tight, and the platforming is really good. The way the mines are generated is like in a very satisfying way to platform through, and there's like neat little platforming puzzles. And I really don't like puzzle games, but I love platforming games, and the mines are generated in a very good way, where sometimes you're kind of like scratching your head like, how am I supposed to jump across there? And then you figure out exactly how to angle it. Like, it feels like a good Mario game. Like, I would say the platforming reminds me a lot of like a good Super Mario game.
Well, I will say that I've never really been a huge fan of Mario or platformer games at all, actually. I think it's probably weirdly enough, it's like probably one of my least favorite types of games to play. But
Oh, really? Yeah, then
in
maybe
the
you won't like
opposite in the opposite way to you, I actually do like puzzle games generally, so I don't know. But if it's like a platforming puzzle, like for example, like back when what's that Meat Boy game? Meathead?
Super Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy. That game came out and everybody was going nuts for it. I booted it up. I was like, all right, let's check out what this game's all about. Honestly, couldn't stand it. I was like, this game's not fun. I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. And every time like a new Mario game comes out, I feel like I'm like inclined to try it out just because it's like it's Mario, it's classic. And then I found that I was just constantly reminded every time that I would like play it that it's just not my kind of game. I also played Spelunky once because I was like, oh, this is like a what do you call it, what's the kind of game you're working on? A roguelike.
Roguelike.
I like roguelikes, but it's a platformer, and I'm like, man, if this wasn't a platformer, then I'd probably have fun. Yeah, there's just certain aspects of it I just don't really like it, that kind of aspect about it.
Yeah, I would say if you don't like Spelunky, I would say this game is like if Spelunky leaned less hard into roguelike and more hard into platforming.
Survival? Oh.
Yeah, no, not really. Not really. There's not a heavy survival.
So if it leaned further away from the things that I like and more towards the things I don't like.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But it is fun because like there's a fun like risk and reward mechanic in the game where you go deeper. There's not that much ore in the like ore is kind of hard to come by, and there's different types of ore that you get more and more money for, and you only have
more
so much
ore.
Yeah, more ore. You only have so much space that you can hold stuff in, and you also have a finite amount of light in your little like battery operated lantern or whatever the robot guy has. So there's like a fun little like risk and reward loop of the deeper you go, the better ore you get, but you run the risk of your lantern running out, and then you can't see shit, and then it's a lot harder to get back up to the surface to sell your stuff.
So you're getting more ore for the risk or the reward, is what you're saying.
Yes. And
you're saying that you'll never be bored by the risk and reward of this ore that you're going to gore down into the ground for.
Yeah, even if you're a whore for the ore and you always want more.
You always want more of that ore because you're an ore whore. It's true.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. I am an ore whore, and I always want to go down into the ground to find some more. No, I mean, I'm sure that it's a fun game and all, but I don't know. I have to boot up my fucking 3DS for it. Come on, man. I thought you were talking about a hot new popular game the next fortnight.
Who fucking cares? I hate video games.
You hate what?
I hate video games.
Yeah. No, never liked them.
Who fucking cares, dude?
No, I'm just too picky, I think. I'm always hyper aware that whenever I play a new video game, that it's a time investment, not just a money investment, but a time investment. And so I feel like if I'm booting up a game, then I feel like I better like this piece of shit or I'm going to be pissed off. And when I don't, I'm even more pissed off. So, I don't know. I'm usually kind of wary about that.
Yeah, I've definitely I've gotten so much more picky about the games that I actually buy because I used to be the kind of person who I'm sure many of our internet mercenaries can identify with. I'm just like buying way too many fucking Steam games, way too many just every system game.
I
Because they're
used
on
to do
sale.
that. I don't think I've actually bought a Steam game in like 5 or 6 years. No joke.
Wow.
I mean, no, I don't think I've bought a Steam game. I should clarify. I don't think I've bought a Steam game just based on like browsing it, like browsing the Steam library and like, oh, that looks good. I'm gonna play that. I don't think I've done that in a very, very long time. I actually don't even remember the last time I've done that. The only time I've ever bought a Steam game is if I have heard enough about it from either very close friends or from like seeing about it online.
I do
trying
it
to
pretty
think.
frequently. I'll look every now and then. I'll look through like the charts of the top selling roguelikes and pick up one of those. And the nice thing about
You
those
can
games is
justify that as like doing research for your own game, though. You know.
yeah, no, I definitely do. I definitely do. And I was thinking about that today. It's kind of like I think it's kind of bad for my mental health to be always playing games in the genre of the game that I'm directing because like it kind of feels like all my off time is also time where I'm spending thinking about my work, even though I really like it, and I really enjoy. I truly love video games. I truly love the roguelike genre. It does feel like
No, that's
sometimes
true.
like
You know, I recently kind of decided to cut myself off from watching YouTube so much, and I think it was like kind of for the same issue, where it's I go to work and I make YouTube videos, and then I go home and I watch YouTube videos, and I feel like
yeah,
I felt like I never had like a break from that world, you know,
yeah.
and that's why I started watching movies instead, and that's why I started like doing other things because it's like when you spend all of your creative time making something, like you don't want to also consume that thing later. I think maybe you should try and play different kinds of games, you know.
Yeah, I should go and play some like erotic dating simulators. Just like the furthest
Yeah.
thing from roguelike.
No, honestly, all of my favorite types of games are mashup games, which basically just means that somebody took two concepts that work really well and then just like meshed them together. So if you're just only playing one type of game, then you're kind of missing out on that like really cool spark of creativity that I think really makes certain games pop, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like
That's a
a
really
lot
good
of the
point.
best games you can describe it as like this game meets this game. It's like the mechanics of this game but with like the like gameplay of this game and the movement of this game. And so I think that if you're looking for inspiration, then maybe you should try and play all different kinds of games, not just the one genre.
Yeah, that's a really good idea because sometimes I do worry that my game is too like derivative of one thing. Even though I know that like
Mhm.
I know my game has a specific like a specific perspective and a specific vision, but sometimes I mean I always have like a very critical view. I think my game is pretty cool, but I have always have a pretty critical view, and I worry like if my game lacks like a specific spark or like a specific like chutzpah or like the secret sauce. So maybe I do need to branch out a little bit, and then maybe I'll find like, oh, this is The Binding of Isaac meets Picross.
Mm. Yeah. This is Legend of Zelda meets Pikmin.
Dude, the other day, you know what Picross is?
Isn't it like motocross sort of thing or what?
No. It's like Sudoku, but it's like
Oh. I was
it's
way
like
off.
Sudoku. Yeah, but instead of matching numbers, you like fill out like a grid that ends up being like a pixel image. So like this, it's like a
Mm.
grid, and then on the sides of the grid there's like numbers, and all of the numbers correspond to how many like filled in cells there are in that line. So it's kind of like Minesweeper, where you have to like cross reference, like, okay, this, like on this side there's like 6 cells, but on this other side there's 4. So that means that like two of these are not filled in cells.
Yeah,
then
it's Minesweeper-esque is what you're saying. I understand.
Yeah. And I think it's a really, really old genre of game, because I have like a Game Boy, like original Game Boy, like Mario Picross game. So I think it was probably some old like Japanese game from a newspaper or something. But I bring it up because the other day, me and Paola, my wife, were sitting together, and I was playing a Picross game on my phone, and I was like, "Hey, do you know this game? Do you want to see it?" And she's like, "Yeah." She was like, "Yeah, let's play." And she thought that I was playing tic-tac-toe, because Picross looks a lot like tic-tac-toe, because it's like X's, like you X out spaces that you think are not filled in cells, and then you put like you
It's a big ass tic-tac-toe board, though.
Yeah, exactly. And she tried to like start marking like one cell, then she gave it to me, and I just started playing Picross, and she was like, "Why are you playing tic-tac-toe by yourself?" And she acted like I was like some sort of sick freak for doing that. She just didn't get that it was an entirely different game.
Yeah. And then you said, "God, you're stupid," and then you hit her, right?
No, I said, "Baby, I love you." And then we
yeah, that's the good ending.
Yeah, that was the good ending I got in my run of matrimony.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would love to see an evolution to the roguelike. I think that honestly you can add roguelike elements into any fucking genre, and I think I would probably be interested in it. Even though I haven't really played a whole lot of roguelikes, the ones that I have played I've actually enjoyed a lot. Although I will say that a big downside to the experience of playing Binding of Isaac is that it feels like you're supposed to play it exclusively with a controller, and I do not really like that much. I kind of wish I could play it with mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, my favorite versions of the Binding of Isaac have always been on like handheld consoles, like the Switch version.
Yeah. I've considered getting it for the Switch before.
Yeah,
I think I would probably like it.
I believe they have the whole shebang. Like you can get, I think it goes up to Afterbirth. I think that's the newest. There's so many. It's like Binding of Isaac, and then there's Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Oh no, there's Binding of Isaac, and then Binding of Isaac Wrath of the Lamb, and then there's Binding of Isaac Rebirth, and then there's Binding of Isaac. There's so many different ones.
So I'm assuming that each iteration of this it's not a sequel, right? It's just it adds more things to the game.
Yeah,
it's like a DLC kind of.
Yeah, it adds more floors, it adds more enemies, adds more power ups, adds more cards, and
it makes their content updates, but paid.
Yeah, and at this point, the Binding of Isaac is just like I've scrolled through the entire like item list and enemy list of the Binding of Isaac so many times, and it is just a staggeringly big game with like so many crazy mechanics.
It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, like hundreds and hundreds of different items that do crazy stuff. So it's a pretty awesome.
Would you? I mean, you're very familiar with the roguelike genre. Would you consider the Binding of Isaac kind of the first mainstream like roguelike of like this generation?
Yeah, I think. I mean, rogues have literally been around since like the 80s or whenever the original rogue came out. But the Binding of Isaac definitely popularized the modern idea of a roguelike.
Yeah. That's what I've always thought, but I couldn't tell. I don't know for sure if there was something before that, but yeah.
No, I mean there definitely was. There's a lot of roguelikes before it, but I think most people's idea of roguelike comes from the Binding of Isaac, where it's just it's super hardcore. There's permadeath. It's entirely randomly generated. All of the power-ups you get, all of the like abilities that you have, whatever equipment that you pick up is entirely randomly generated. Enemies are random. Everything's random. So I think that the Binding of Isaac is so cool because it illustrates all of those systems in such a pure way. Like everything is extremely easy to grasp, like what exactly it's doing. Like the way that floors are laid out is it's very clear that everything is random. It's very clear that how a run is going to go based on the placement of everything that you see. I think it shows everything in a very easy to like it's like in Risk of Rain, like Risk of Rain 2, it's very easy to see like what is stacked up on top of you to make this run different to the next run. Like it's
Right.
it's all very easy to see. Whereas
And
a
you can
game
always
like-
feel a difference in the power of your character as well.
yeah, oh definitely. And I would say
It's
that
like you're playing a different class of like character each end game run you have, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes it so cool and addicting is that because you can find like that one item that really unlocks the build that you want to play, or unlocks a new build that you didn't know you wanted to play but feels great, and it makes it like heightens the reward of that run working out if you can get it to like go all the way to the end and keep that cool power up that you find that you might not find for a really long time after that.
Yeah. I mean, I've always kind of thought of video games as like kind of like the best way to experience a power fantasy. Like that's pretty consistent across all video games that I like in particular. And I think that roguelikes are like a great like a simulation of like the experience of going from nothing to godlike. You know what I mean? And I think that's like very fun because I mean, think about like something like Skyrim, which I think is like a great example of like a game that I play exclusively because I like the power fantasy. I'm like, I'm in this world. This is my world. I'm gonna dominate it. I'm gonna train myself to be like a crazy dragon-born guy who can like do all this crazy shit. And but the experience of going from zero to hero takes place over months of playing it. But a roguelike is so cool because it's like it's condensed into this like hour-long session. If you don't die early on, you know, you can kind of like distill it to its very essence. And I think that's the thing that I like the most about roguelikes. It's like really kind of taking that feeling and of progression and just kind of like squeezing it down into like a one round. It's cool. It's a cool little thing, and I like to see what people do with it.
Yeah, it's like you're exactly right. The condensedness is what makes it so cool, and the fact that like you can condense like such different power fantasies too is a strength of the Binding of Isaac, because like one run you might get like a really great combination of shit that makes you have like a great rate of fire and like burn damage or something, and then the next you might find like the cool item that like lets you shoot a laser beam across the screen instead of the regular you're typically shooting. So there's like so many great ways that you can that do all seem really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can try out like an entirely different strategy next round, especially influenced by like what items you find early on. You know, like, oh, I found this item. I guess I'm going this route. And then you're like, all right, I can't wait to find this item so that it combines with this item and it makes me do this specific thing. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Would you consider Binding of Isaac to be your favorite roguelike?
Oh, definitely. I'd say it's probably my favorite game.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta play it. I'd consider Risk of Rain 2 to be my favorite roguelike and probably one of my favorite games ever. It's awesome. I think the thing that I like the most about that one in particular is that it's just a 3D plane instead of like a top-down, which it resonates with my brain a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know why the Binding of Isaac really like why I prefer that to the Risk of Rain 2, because I like Risk of Rain 2, but something about the way the Binding of Isaac looks to me just feels so clean and like pure game design.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It looks like a video game.
Yes, yeah, it looks like a video game. But I don't have a whole lot of nostalgia. Like the Binding of Isaac was created as a like homage to the Legend of Zelda Dungeons. like Legend of Zelda, like Link to the Past dungeons. And
Yeah.
I never played those growing up. I never ever played Legend of Zelda games. They always seemed like too hard for me. So I don't have. It's almost like I stumbled upon something that other people have all this nostalgia for, and even without that nostalgia, I still found like the value in it. And maybe like I'm like
That's fine.
like a sucker fish on other people's nostalgia.
Things are good outside of just being nostalgic. It's hard to believe in today's society, but yeah, it's true. Things can be good on other levels. And, I would assume that Binding of Isaac could be that way. I, for one, did play a lot of those handheld Zeldas where there were a lot of those like dungeons with different, like I had the same kind of room layout as Binding of Isaac does. So I do have that nostalgic factor for Binding of Isaac, but I just couldn't get past the controls when I played it the first time, but I should probably play it on my Switch.
Yeah, it's great on Switch. I just bought it on 3DS as well. It's really great on 3DS. I think I have it on every system that it's on.
Okay. Another roguelike that I really like that is kind of like not really talked about that much is Slay the Spire. Have you ever played that?
No, but I think one of our viewers in the Discord was saying that they were listening to the podcast while playing that game.
Yeah, Slay the Spire is a fantastic podcast game because it's a card game and it's turn based. So there's like a lot of kind of time to like there's a lot of downtime if you want it. The game basically pauses every like 5 seconds. So it's a very casual game. There's not a time limit really, unless you're trying to beat like a record, which I don't personally go for records. I played extremely casually, but it's like it's a very cool game. Have you ever heard about it or tried to play it or something?
I've never played it, but I've so many people have told me about it, recommended it to me. I just have like an aversion to games that have cards as mechanics that aren't purely like TCG, CCG.
Says the Marvel Snap player.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I like Marvel Snap because it is a competitive like card game versus like you know what it is I have this like, I think it's like I have like a trauma from when I was a kid and there was a Dragon Ball Z Game Boy Advance game that I really wanted that I saw these ads for that I think was called like Goku's Journey or something. It was like a kind of a Legend of Zelda style Dragon Ball Z game where you're like, it's top down and you're running around this world like shooting kamehamehas at people. It's like an action RPG kind
Shooting
of thing.
cum?
Yeah, you're shooting kamehamehas. And I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, can you get me this cool Dragon Ball Z game? And she was like, sure, honey. And she came home with a Dragon Ball Z game, but it was the wrong one. And it was this like card based game. I don't even remember what it was exactly, but
you were just like severely disappointed that it wasn't like a run and gun, like Dragon Ball Z, like RPG. You wanted it to be that, but it turned out to be a dumb card game. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it turned out to be this like weird, like turn based card game.
Oh, that
like,
does suck. If you don't want to play a turn-based card game and you get suckered into it, yeah, of course it's gonna suck.
Yeah, it's like I just want to be Goku running around shooting people with like spirit lasers, but instead I'm like Goku walking up to people and then like putting cards in front of them or something. Like it was just so lame, and I played it so much because at that point I had like no games, and so I think every time I play a like an ARPG style top down beat 'em up, shoot 'em up, whatever, I get like a little bit of like it hits my pleasure center. It's like, oh yeah, I'm finally playing that game that's not that piece of shit card based Dragon Ball Z game.
Well, you got to get over that and play Slay the Spire because it is genuinely a good game, and it is what I was saying before. All of my favorite roguelikes expand upon the genre by adding another element to it from another genre. It's kind of like Hearthstone meets roguelike in a way. You know, you're building your deck as you go, and every little boss that you fight is randomly generated. You can choose a path based on what you feel you can handle, but It is all randomly generated. The progression, and it is like kind of, it is kind of like a dungeon crawler in a way. Although it's not formatted like that, but it is essentially a dungeon crawler. Where you're going up. Slay the Spire is like you're climbing a tower, and each tower like level has a monster on it that you have to defeat with cards. And each time you defeat a monster, you can pick from 3 different cards at the end of the battle, and you can build your deck that way. It's kind of like, you ever do drafts in Magic? Do stuff like that?
For sure. Definitely.
Kind of like, yeah, it's basically that, but imagine somebody roguelike-ified that concept.
That's funny you mentioned that, because I was literally, as we were describing The Binding of Isaac, I was in my mind thinking like the feeling of just happening upon a bunch of items that kind of work together and then working with it feels to me like the same feeling of playing a draft in Magic and making it work based on what you get in your packs.
Yeah. But as long as you also don't make it entirely super random, like if you got one random card at the end of every round and you had to pick that one, then I feel like it would be a considerably worse game. But because they let you choose between 3, it feels like you have a little bit more agency. That magical word agency is super important, I think, when designing roguelikes, because it's like you want it to be random, but you also want your player to feel like they're controlling the randomness in a way that like is benefiting them. Because otherwise I feel like it's just a slot machine, and I don't want to play a slot machine. I want to play, a video game.
Yeah, that's something I actually thought about recently when I was designing a part of my game. Like, the way my game works is like after you clear a level, you get to pick a power up. So rather than in a game like The Binding of Isaac, you just happen to find a certain power up in the level. In my game, the idea was to give the player a choice of 2 different power ups, and on top of that, each of the power-ups is always a combination of a buff and a debuff. So the player has to choose always a compromise.
Yeah. Oh, you know what other game that's getting a sequel very soon that I'm very excited to play is Hades. That's another one of my favorite roguelikes. And the reason why that game is such a banger is not only because of the story elements kind of making it almost kind of like a dating simulator, kind of. It feels a little bit like a dating simulator in parts, but the gameplay is so fun that I'll let it slide. But the agency is off the charts. Like, you can really build Zagreus up to be whatever you really want him to be, and it's very cool. Like, you can choose what room to go into that's going to guarantee you a certain boon from like a god that will benefit you, and whenever that god gives you some boons, you can choose from a list of them instead of just being forced to take something that you don't want to take. And it's very good game design. I like the evolution of roguelikes from being just completely random in a way like Binding of Isaac. From what you're describing, it sounds like a lot of it is very random, where it's just like you just kind of gotta go through a lot of rooms until you find what you want. But instead of going through a lot of rooms, it's just like giving you more choices, and balancing that out a little bit with the randomness, I think, is like where the sweet spot is for me for the enjoyment of a lot of those roguelikes.
Yeah, the way Hades does the choice of like the next room you go into to guarantee the kind of boon or the kind of reward you're going to get, like with credits or gold or whatever.
Yeah.
In the next room was so cool when I first saw it, coming from games like The Binding of Isaac or like I'm trying to think of another roguelike in that vein. Whatever, but yeah, that felt so fresh to me to give because it really felt more like a traditional, like a roguelike take on a traditional RPG where you can choose where to allocate your points, but rather than allocating points, you were kind of like investing in like, okay, I know I want to get like the what's the party god? The cool, like the god of like the
god of wine. Yeah, the guy's like, hey, what's up? I'm the god of wine. Yeah. I don't remember a whole lot of the Greek mythology guys, especially the kind of obscure ones like that one. But yeah, I
Yeah,
know you're talking about the guy with grapes and wine, and he's like, "What's up, dude?"
Yeah, I just like the feeling of being able to like control my destiny in that game a little more and
Yeah,
like okay, be like this run I'm going to try to go heavy into this type of stuff because I know how to control these types of interactions that these boons give me.
yeah, and I think what makes that successful to me is that like some people might say like, "Oh, the you're kind of taking a lot of the roguelike elements out whenever you give the player a little bit too much control." But I'd say that like it makes up for it in gameplay. Because the gameplay is so fun, like it doesn't really matter to me because I'm not really focusing on I'm like half focusing on like the strategical element that a roguelike naturally gives you, and I'm also half focusing on the badass gameplay. It's like Hades is kind of like more of like an action RPG in the way that it controls and plays. And it's a lot of fun, and it's like very fast paced, and you got to really fucking think on your feet, and you got to like spam dodge like crazy whenever you're getting like ganged up on. And that part of the game could be a game on its own without the roguelike elements, but it's not, and so it just combines the two. And I feel like if it leaned too heavily in the randomness of the roguelike, then it would take away it would basically just make it like more complex and more annoying to be like, I'm trying to enjoy this like badass action game, but it keeps making me think about like, what do I do next? I'm fucked because I got the wrong thing. And it kind of eases up on the pressure of like having to improvise whenever you have a little bit more choices, and kind of gives you more opportunity to enjoy both aspects of it. I'm assuming like a lot of older games like maybe leaned a little bit heavily in the roguelike direction, like as far as randomness goes, or as far as like problem solving on like the strategical level goes, because the gameplay wasn't like interesting enough, maybe because it was just old and they just didn't know how to like make the gameplay interesting. They were just like, hey, let's just make it like 80% roguelike, 20% game. You know, you gotta think, this is a thinking man's
Yeah.
game. But a lot of the modern roguelikes, they've kind of balanced it out and they've made it like so it's a little bit more even, and I like that. I like that it's like it feels like two games at once and not just one roguelike experience.
Yeah, I think genre conventions are so boring, and like I really hate when I'm reading the like synopsis or about like the summary of a new roguelike, and the author is really careful to designate it as a roguelike or a roguelite. I just think that's so lame, and like who cares, you know? Who are the people who actually care if it's a roguelike or a roguelite? Like just make it cool and borrow from whatever makes the game fun is what I think.
Yeah. If it's not fun, why bother?
Yeah, it's a dirty job and someone's got to do it.
Classic Micro.
And only thing I've learned after 21 years is you never know what item you're going to get.
I would love Mike Rowe Mike Rowe should run for president. He would win.
Yeah, I'd vote for him. I would say being the president is the dirtiest job. Maybe the second dirtiest job after being an assassin for the Clinton family.
We don't like to talk about that though, because we don't want to get suicided.
Not again. Not again. That's another thing.
Never get me again.
Let's just say that there's a reason why Matt's not here this week.
Let's just say that he's at the lunch.
Yeah, let's just say he's out to freaking lunch. Let's just say he's got a sign on his door that says "Gone fishing."
It's 10:30 at night. He's out to lunch. Let's just say that.
Yeah, let's just keep it at that.
Yeah. Let's actually just keep it at that. Let's end the podcast at that.
Okay, theme song.
Easy.